So, how's it going this week, Super Cap?
Don't call me that, man. Please don't call me that.
What's wrong with calling you Super Cap, Super Cap?
Yeah, so we will talk about that more later, but let's not talk about that right now. And welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is SureShot, and this is our weekly Scissorman stream. Pretty excited to be back and hanging out with everybody. Everyone's jumping in chat saying what is up, and Ascend says Super Cap. If you don't know what that's about, and I hope you don't, because that will be my story time that I have at the end of the show. We're going to do story time. We're going to do a quick story right now, and then we're going to do one of my stories at the end. I like doing mine at the end just as a hoorah last thing that I kick out to everybody. And then we're also going to, so after his story time, we're going to talk just a little bit briefly about the things going on in the game. There's a bunch of stuff happening right now. It's actually a really exciting time in the game. So let's get into your story time. Then we'll get into what's going on in the game. And then we'll go and get into dailies and question and answers. So if you have questions, hold them off for just a minute while we get through story time and get through the what's going on in the community, and then after that you guys can start asking questions. Make sure if it's a question for SureShot that you're tagging him at SureShot, and if it's for me that it's at Warrior, so that way I actually know which question is directed towards which individual. So all right, I want to hear a story. What do you got for me?
Tell me a story, Canteen Boy. Make me laugh. Well, let's see. This is the story, a camping story, about how I wrecked my vehicle and pissed off the native raccoons. So, to start the day off, me and a couple of my friends decided that we were going to go out camping. This is something that we enjoy doing in the 2-week period of spring that happens in Illinois and the 2-week period that happens in the fall, where it's actually manageable weather. You can get your equipment together, you can go sleep in a tent and not wake up either freezing or sweating your parts off. So we decided that this was a good time for it. You know, the mosquitoes haven't hit yet. It's just, we got to do it this weekend. So we rushed to go to this, my friend's storage unit, which is where we keep most of his camping gear. At this storage unit, it's kind of an oddly shaped building. There's, trees in odd places, and there's this random 3-foot tall pipe that's sticking out in the middle of the parking lot. So, of course, just sitting there just saying, hey, I'm in the wrong spot. And why, of course, would you take the time to mark that pipe was there? Or, I don't know, maybe make it a noticeable color like fluorescent orange, some kind of bright yellow? No, let's paint it black. So, of course, in the waning hours of the day, you can't see that thing at all. So we get everything we need out of the storage unit. My friend backs out, and I'm in front of him, so I back out the same direction that he's going, thinking, oh, hey, this is a safe path, not even thinking in my mind, oh, yeah, pipe in the background there. We're just going to do. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Dang it, I probably just dented my bumper or something. Now, thinking back on it, I realized that the car stopped. I was doing maybe 5 miles an hour or whatever, but, good long 1992 Cadillac Eldorado is not a whole lot, it's not a small vehicle to stop in its tracks. So I get out thinking, oh man, there's probably a big old scrape there or something. And I walk around the back of the car to see my entire quarter panel caved in, the bumper's all messed up and pushed up in the corner, my taillight's broken out. I mean, just a quick little tap that you thought might have been, oh dang it, a little bit of damage, just mutilated the back corner of my vehicle to the point where I was like, oh, and I'm actually trying to sell this thing right now. So never mind about that one, huh? Because who wants to put money back into a 92 Cadillac Eldorado? So that...
I guess my biggest surprise is the cars back in the day were built with steel and iron and crazy hardcore stuff. I had a friend, my friend Jared, a Dilstradamus. He'd be pissed if he found out I was using his real name because he's the master of big dildos or something like that. I don't know. Dilstradamus is crazy. I don't know why it goes by that. But anyway, Dilstradamus had a Volvo, and he would run over everything with that thing. I mean, we wouldn't even scratch it. And we'd run over, little children and, pets. And I'm just kidding. We didn't run over little children. They were big.
Yeah. They had to be at least preteen before they, meet that criteria. No, this is a 92, so it still had a little bit of updating. It was all nice leather and, typical Cadillac form or whatever, but it was a two-door, so it was a coupe. It wasn't one of the longest versions they make, not like back in the 70s when those things were like, 2.5 football fields long and you hit something and like 3 minutes later, what was that? So... Anyways, start the night off just destroying my vehicle, so that kind of put a bad connotation on the night. So I was just kind of like, never mind, we're still going. Let's just get this over with. We set out to have fun. Let's go have some fun, dang it. So, of course, all the friends are laughing at this point, thinking that it was hilarious. Like, how did you not notice that? It's like, well, are you kidding me? For a low vehicle, couldn't see it. Anyways, get to the campsite, set everything up, having a good time chatting by the campfire. Well, we have a friend, Casey. He's he's pretty big for his age at that point. He was definitely the Durher of the group. He was a cool guy. Really, he had that protective instinct. I think that a lot of people in that type of mentality kind of have for the friend group or whatever. But he just had some of the best screw ups and mess ups and funny one liners that you could ever come up with. Just because the guy never thought. There wasn't a filter. It just kind of all word vomited all the time. So not only was he just funny with what he would say, but sometimes the things that he would do. At one point in the night, he thought it was funny that, or a good idea to light marshmallows on fire and flick them into the forest. Now, this is, again, Illinois, so it's a super wet country, lots of rainfall. Didn't have to worry about, fires being started too much. But at one point, while lighting this marshmallow on fire, he ended up lighting his hand on fire, too. But to the point where it's kind of like, not just a little flame, like his entire hand suddenly was engulfed and it was trying to put it out, and we're laughing at him for that. So... along about some point when he's whipping about 6 or 7 of these marshmallows into the forest, we tell him it's probably not a good idea. There might be animals out there that would eat that. And if you're spraying them with off to light them on fire, it's probably not a very good, safe chemical for them to eat. So we probably assumed correctly, but didn't do anything else about it because, of course, he's whipping them into a dark forest. We're not going to go out there and try and find them. After they go out or whatever, as they're flaming through the air, they're not really easy to find at that point. So we kind of brush it off, finish off the rest of the night being goofy and whatever, have a terrible sleep in the tent with our air mattresses, of course, that deflated throughout the night, all to wake up the next morning to find that apparently we upset the natives. We're pretty sure it's raccoons because the way that they kind of, will scurry through things or whatever. I thought at some point in the night I heard something scratching against the tent or whatever. Well, we weren't paying attention at that 1 hour of sleep that we were actually having. They tore a hole in the side of the tent. They grabbed all of our camp chairs and dragged 2 of them into the forest. 1 we never found. 2 of them were all chewed up and eaten. 1 was crapped on. It was like, they were just like, we were really happy. Thanks for the marshmallows. So-and-so died. Now that's it. We're going to go take him out. We're going to go get him out of here. So after they got done destroying our campsite, we decided, okay, you know what? This is a done weekend. We're out of here. So we packed it all up and headed out of there, and we just called it good for that weekend. And of course, proceeded to go camping again throughout the rest of the year. But that particular weekend just kind of set the tone for the whole summer because there was a story practically every time we went camping after that of something ridiculous happening. But that's the night that running my Cadillac into a pipe ended up pissing off raccoons.
Giggity giggity goo. All right, so there is a lot happening in the game right now.
Oh my.
There is Gear 12 finishers, so you can have your team look like this because you'll be at Gear 13. Now, on Gear 13, there will not be additional gear pieces, at least yet. They want this to percolate a little bit and for you to enjoy it. And they apparently enjoy Tequila Sunrise, the drink, because that's what they're going to turn every character into, is a Tequila Sunrise. Pretty cool, though. I do like the kind of like reddish, goldish kind of combo, although kind of surprised they didn't stick with gold. And this is why every other color had like 3, that you got, like purple, goes 7, 8, 9, 10, actually 11. Like there's like a number of levels that are that color. Green was a few, white's a few. Yeah, and like as we went further, they got longer and more and more. And so I figured they'd be gold for a while. I didn't figure you really needed a differentiation. So, but it's kind of crazy, this Gear 12 finisher. For a lot of people, if you don't know this is like a big I didn't know that kind of moment. When you apply gear, you get instantly that benefit from that piece of gear. So if it says 600 health, you get 600 health. But when you complete a gear section and you hit upgrade, all those stats that you have slowly added over time instantly now get looked at by your mods. Your mods actually only look at the last fully done set. So if your guy is gear 8.5, your mods are going off of gear 8 only and not the pieces that are in there. So if you've got 2 pieces for speed, like a 6-speed, thermals, whatever they call that, like ball that gives you a 6 speed, it doesn't actually add this 10% speed to that speed because that speed doesn't actually count in the mods. The mods only look at your last fully completed gear set. So because of that, when you complete gear 13 and or gear 12 and you pop over to gear 13, the mods will then now look at all of gear 12 and now include gear 12 in the mod growth. This is important because there's a lot of characters who gain a ton in gear 12. And so once gear 12 actually counts towards your mods, you're going to see a massive boost with just what your mods provide, because especially the percentage stuff. Anything that's a percentage is going to be a percentage of now this entire another level of gear. Their example for this on the forums was General Grievous. Apparently, because it's so much of his health comes in at gear 12, you not only get the health at gear 12, but then once you complete it, you get the boost of all the mod stats, and they said they saw 60,000 health General Grievous's jump to 95,000 health, and he does damage based on his health. So instead of hitting for 60 to 80k, he's going to be hitting for like 100 and 120k, which is going to make General Grievous an insane monster that can one-shot teams. So this is pretty crazy. They wanted it to stand alone a little bit as well. Those pieces, though, the singular piece that we're needing to go to gear 13 is going to be a cocktail, if you will, of 3 different pieces that you're going to be able to get from all of the new content coming into the game. And it's probably going to, take forever in a day to get a single piece constructed for a single person. Most likely, just like, with the Sith raid, they've really constricted how to get those pieces. The good news is when we go to gear 13, because everybody's going to grow and pop, and the mods are going to have a whole nother round to focus on. The mods are going to boost these guys this much more. All of the in-game content like the Sith raid becomes trivial at that point, because everything just becomes far easier. Now, that's in like a year when everybody has gold, and red gear 13, and that's not today. So the stuff's not trivial yet, but being able to get characters up to this level will be. Now, the in-game stuff, from what I understand, is going to be kind of hard to get to. Now, side note, they are doing double drops coming up over from the 8th, which is like in a couple of days, all the way to like the 19th. So there'll be double drops in all the different stores. And the way they're doing it is they're giving each store or each area of the game about 3 days of double drops. So double drops, double 0 is
a big fat 0. Yeah, thanks a lot for that one. We appreciate it, guys. Double drop sounds great in theory.
So what are your thoughts on Gear 13, the Gear 12 finishers, how it's going to impact the game? What are your thoughts?
Well, I am digging the color scheme like you're saying earlier. That's something that's pretty cool. I think it's a little bit less rowdy in their little bubbles there, because when they add the lines on, it kind of gets a little convoluted when you can't see exactly what gear level that person's at. So I think now they actually put in a little title underneath the card for each character, which is kind of handy. So that part, just aesthetically, I think it looks kind of cool. Gear 13, something that I've known in starting the game was a possibility at some point. It was going to happen. So 2 years later, had plenty of time for that to kind of gestate and settle in and all that. So I know there's probably plenty of new guys that are just starting out thinking, oh, geez, something else, And like you said, there could be a year before that all sets in and everything, or, a month or two for the whales to really start swiping that credit card a few more times. So yeah, it's something that might happen a little bit more gradually, as opposed to just a big Malik drop all of a sudden that just changes the whole game, and all of a sudden everything's way lopsided up there. So I like it. It's not something that I'm too apprehensive about. I think it's a natural progression, and I'm glad they're doing it.
Awesome. So Darth Maul really quick asks what Night Sister team we should be using if you're not going to go Phoenix, because he says he's actually play testing and putting a second team. So basically, all the Night Sisters are legit. You can use Talia, you can use Initiate. You can do any combination. Obviously, you would want to shoot for the very best if possible. So Spirit is in there as the best. Zombie, Asajj, Mother Talzin, and then the fifth can be whichever. See, Daka, Asajj, Mother Talzin, Zombie, +1. In your +1, I would say Spirit and Talia. Talia for raids and Spirit for that. And the other question really quick, and I'm trying not to do questions at this second because we're trying to get through information about the game. But, Tommy asks, do you think they're going to nerf address the latest Jedi Anakin loop? They put on the forums, they were. They said these loop type situations are not something that they're interested in having in the game. Obviously, when Gear 13 becomes a thing, the raids will become a little bit more trivial, and because of that, they're probably not going to address those types of loops in the future with those raids, because they're going to have a lot of really high-end powerful characters and a bunch of new loops are going to start to a lot of these abilities to solo parts and stuff is going to happen way more prevalently, and at that point they're just going to give up and not worry about it because it'll be more in-game new in-game content to focus on. But for now, it is still kind of it's not technically a loop, but kind of, and it's one of those things where they're looking at it going, yeah, that's not what we want for this content. And a lot of people have these characters and they don't want to trivialize something they're not ready for it to be trivialized yet. So they did for sure say they were going to address it, but they did say that they're not going to address it for a while because they're too focused on all of the new content coming out, which means it's going to take them 6 to 8 weeks probably to focus on it, which means if you have these characters for the Phase 3 solo with the Night Sisters and Anakin, then go and do it. Do it. In fact, they encouraged T Money to have her video promoted so that way everybody could see this loop and stuff, because they're like, well, I guess you'll get views now, because we're not going to address it anytime soon. So they are aware of it, and they're not going to fix it anytime soon. Now, if you don't have the right characters for this, don't do it, because in about 2 months, it's going to go away, and you'll have wasted all your energy. And they've already said, if you waste all your energy, that'll be a done deal on you. That's your problem. They already publicly addressed this situation and said they are going to change it. So if you invest, that's on you for sure. Now, really quick, behind me, you're going to see this pack. This is a premium squad arena bundle. There's also a squad arena bundle. Everything you get, you earn over time. So this is a bit of a worth it series really quick. It's like 10 American dollars for the one pack and 30 for this pack. And if you bought both of them, it'd be $40 and you'd get some crystals and all of that stuff. And basically what this is that you're buying a speed up for a couple of weeks. If you were to buy all of it, you get about, every couple of thousand, you get about 4 days worth of growth. And they gave you about 4 days worth of, crystals and 4 days worth of the ability mats. And so basically, if you spend this, what they're saying is each day playing in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes is worth roughly around, if you were to buy the 10, it gives you 4 days. So it's, about $3 a day. So they've kind of put a price on how much a day costs in the game. And they're saying if you spend 30, we're going to give you a 10-day advancement in these things specifically, the crystals, the crystal averages, the 700 packets for that. So for anyone who is early to mid game and kind of wants to progress faster, this is literally spending $3 a day to speed up. If you feel like you can afford to spend $3 a day for 10 days to get an advancement in these things, then I could see people spending the money on it. I don't, because you can get all of this stuff for free. And what's a 10-day advancement? It's really not that big a deal. That's like a week and a half. So just play for another week and a half and you'll have all of this stuff. So I don't really see this as a value, but I know some people would and will see this as a value. So I can see this. I could see if someone was trying to go for CLS and they had their characters gear up and their level up and all of their abilities up, but they didn't have them to 7 stars, they could get this pack and they could buy all those characters, Stormtrooper Han and Leia and all the characters they needed that they were like kind of tied up for competing for this material. They could get them sped up, but see, CLS isn't coming back for like another 6 to 8 weeks. So again, that really, I don't see a value in it. So that's just where I'm at with this particular package. But I know a lot of people that could see a value. I just personally don't. So let's go back. So
Looking to really dolphin out.
yeah, so I do like the coloring of this. What else is going on? I'm trying to think of what else is going on in the game. They're doing the double drops. They got the Gear 12 finishers. They talked about the new material. Oh, last thing is Grand Arena and Territory Battles Geonosis. So Territory Battles Geonosis is coming out, and it sounds like from the data mine scrape that not all guilds are going to be able to participate. Let's talk just really briefly about that. So do you feel like it's a good thing or a bad thing that they bring in really, really high-end content that most guilds can't participate in? If so, why or why not?
Maybe just because of where I'm at in the game personally. I kind of like it more because if you're not a whale, if you're not spending a bunch of money, if you're not way up in in arena ranks, then this is something that could be for you because you may be part of a guild that's going to be high enough in GP that you can still participate in this. So it's not going to be so exclusive that it's just for the individual. It's going to be exclusive for the guilds that have really put their time and energy and effort in, that they've built themselves up to a point that they can actually participate in this and can kind of separate things out a little bit from everybody else. Not that it's so important that you separate things out like that or make sure that the people who are end game have their own personal content or whatever, but I just kind of think it's a little bit of a show of, hey, you guys have put the work and effort into it, so this is something for you, especially.
So there's a really good chance you're not going to be able to play Territory Battles Geonosis. What do you think about that?
Now I just got done saying that. We were talking about the GP requirements or whatever. Did you just find out something that I didn't know?
No, I don't. And that's something we're trying to figure out. But it sounds like from the data mine that the guilds are going to have to qualify somehow. Right. And then once they qualify, they can then participate. And I'm guessing the qualifier is going to be either completion of a previous territory battle at like 45 stars, 48 stars, or you're going to have to be like, 200 million GP or higher or something crazy because they said it's going to be in game. Not a lot of people are going to be able to do it. But what's going to happen is someone like you that might want to participate in that will say, well, I'm in a guild that's 120 and I can't get into it. So I'm going to leave my guild and go into another guild that's higher GP so I can participate. That breaks up guilds by definition. Now, Capital Games knows unequivocally for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is going to destroy a lot of guilds. In fact, when they brought out the Sith raid, they knew the same thing. But they actually said it was good for the game. So hear me out. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just going to give you their take that they had both publicly and privately on this.
Long-term look here.
Yep, is that for the health of the game, they needed stagnancy in older guilds to go away and for it to be infused with new life. And the only way for that to happen was for, the people who are most active and most excited about this in-game content to move up and into these higher-end guilds, which infuses life into these higher-end guilds, which then in turn stays around. Those are the most profitable guilds for the game. And so for them, the lower-end guilds, what happens is they either dissolve into bigger guilds or they recruit themselves and they get other people in and they get bigger and they get better. So for them, the Capital Games sees it as a benefit because not only does it benefit them financially and logically and for the longevity of the game because everyone becomes more engaged or less engaged. You get rid of the people who aren't engaged and get the people who are engaged more engaged. So for them, the longevity of the game, it becomes better. And then they also, gain the benefit of seeing some of the smaller guilds that are kind of, there's a lot of guilds that are like, oh, I got 15 people in here and we're having fun, but they're not really taking it seriously. Well, these people, if they're not taking it seriously, aren't going to be able to participate in something that they see as a serious matter for gaming. Like if you're going to play the game, you should be serious about getting these things. And if not, you're going to suffer. And there's going to be an advantage for those who choose to pursue that. So they want there to be something that if you pursue, you gain a reward for. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to do everything, but that you're part of a team that is going for that. So pros and cons. I mean, I see their point on all of that about, the health of the game and the growth and, rewarding those most active. The con, there are a lot of really, really great middle of the road guilds who have, 40 to 50 people in there that are really active, that enjoy the game, but maybe there's just a bunch of people in there that aren't spending a whole lot of money and they're at like 2 and 3 million GP, and they're going to be cut out of some of this in-game stuff, giving them a severe disadvantage moving forward that they really have no control over, and their only solution is going to be to leave the guild they love that's super active simply because of one data stat, which is your GP or whatever. So I do see it as a guild breaker, and I think that's a shame. In fact, when the raid came out and they specifically said they're going to only give like fully crafted pieces and the best gear and stuff to 1 through 10 in Sith raid, as a Team Instinct player, I'd have to do in excess of 25 million in the raid to qualify for the top 10. I'd have to have the time to play the whole raid, which takes, like an hour. I've got to have, which I don't have the time to play the whole raid, but I'd have to be engaged. I'd have to do all my teams, mod my teams correctly for all of those. And then I'd have to get, all 25 plus million just to even get into the top 10. So there was a real push possibly for me to leave Team Instinct and go to a kind of a slightly lesser guild so I could place in the top 10 and get better gear. And a lot of people actually were doing that, where they were doing what's called merking. They were leaving their guild to go do a raid where they knew they were going to get 25 million, but they knew that would put them in number 1, and they knew they were going to get this amazing gear. And they do this to this day, but I don't know, this in-game stuff kind of messes with people a little bit. So we'll see. Let's see. There's probably some questions really quick. Jarek says, Urzatron said squad arena currency for prestige for new capital ships. You could use it on prestige, but for anybody who's out there who had the ability or capability of getting prestige for the last year, has been doing that. If you haven't been, you probably had other targets that were more important than prestige. So that is one route to go with that. But, honestly, you're not going to be able to get enough prestige for it to matter with 7,000 currency. It's just not. You're only going to be able to buy a few of those packs because it's like 600 or whatever. So you're only going to get like 10 packs. It's just not enough to really matter, honestly, in the Hill of Beans. I mean, capital ship is 1,950 prestige to go from 0 to max on all abilities, assuming it has the same abilities and content and amount of prestige that the previous ships have, and that won't be the case.
You decide to go ahead and stack up a few extra on.
Yeah, that they're going to have an extra ability that's in there. So instead of 4, it's going to have 5, and there's going to be more prestige required. And because they can't just, there's a lot of high-end players like myself that's been saving up prestige forever, and I have enough for 2 ships. So they're going to do something to kill my entire prestige plus some. So there's that. And then let's see. Yep. How do you go about ships? Do you farm the characters in advance of level 60, or did you have any other tactic? Yeah, I did level 50. I started farming for ships. So it's just one of those things you kind of have to start looking forward on as far as when you hit level 50. You got to start looking towards ships. Ships is kind of a train. It starts really, really slow and kind of starts to slowly move into the right direction. You start out real slow with your advancement, and then over time you start to get the right ships, and you really, way more than Arena, have to be hyper-focused on the right ships, or you'll end up losing out, because if you focus on the wrong ships, that train is impossible to stop and turn around. And so you've got to make sure you're focused on the right ships for sure. So I'm going to do some dailies in the background, but we can answer questions. If I have a little bit of connectivity issues, you guys, I'm really sorry. I have no idea why, but it looks like the audio's fine, but for some reason YouTube is showing that our audio or our video stream is kind of low res. So one moment really quick.
How are we moving here?
Yeah. Does it look like we're offline, or are we still there? Looks like that we're still streaming. It's just
YouTube bouncing back and forth. Oh my.
yeah, this is terrible, and I have no idea why it's doing that. It's YouTube. YouTube keeps dropping.
I thought the lag was on my side. No high score. We did break.
What is going on with YouTube? I apologize in advance, you guys.
Rest in peace. Wait, what?
Yeah. I have no idea why.
It's here, it's gone. It's here, it's gone.
Well, it appears to be that YouTube is just not connecting well with OBS, because OBS is showing that everything is great, but it keeps dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
The video is still bad.
What is going on with YouTube?
The early 2000s here.
I know. It keeps dropping and picking up, dropping and picking up. It's
no fun. No, not cool.
Yeah. What is going on? YouTube is having a severe issue. I have no idea what is going on with YouTube. Yep, it's definitely not my internet, because my internet's showing as good.
Most good.
Yeah.
Most good. Well, at least the audio's good, you know.
Well, the audio is
heavy breathing.
Yeah. No, I was kidding. I just have no idea why.
Connection bundle.
This is exactly what I get for paying for internet. But no, it's more than fine for a live stream for both up and down. That's
enough.
Yeah, significantly high enough. So I have no idea why YouTube is having such an idiot. YouTube.
Brain freeze.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
YouTube is having. It's all YouTube, because our internet is way good. Yeah, just by the new connection button. YouTube is so internet is perfect, audio is fine, OBS is great, everything is golden. It's just for some reason YouTube is not accepting the video output, and it keeps just dropping. This is terrible. Well, I think we should probably stop it and try and restart it after checking out what's going on. But oh, and now YouTube wants to say that they're back and working good. Let's see. We'll see.
Do we complain loud enough?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe Google was listening in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Google. Can you get this to work right?